Hi, it's me, I'm back, the Central Scrutinizer. On to video number 3 for making the human form. As you can see, I've added a little more tape to my paper sculpture since the last video. Thinking about putting the clay over the whole thing and pulling it off. I didn't want any loose edges that would catch the clay and stop it from easily removing from the piece. So I have added a little more tape to it, pushed the design around a little bit more, and how tall is my piece? Remember the maximum size is 9 inches? Guess what? Mine is 9 inches tall. Just like we said, that's the maximum height. Now obviously my paper is 9 inch. When I cover it in slab, it's gonna be a little taller than 9 inches, but hopefully with the shrinkage of clay at 10% shrinkage after firing, I'll be back to my 9 inch maximum. If not, I'll have to deduct a couple of points off my project. So I've got my paper sculpture set aside. I've got a cutting utensil. I've just got a needle probe that I'm going to use to cut the clay with. I've got my 2 slabs of clay that I threw out on this piece of cardboard, and my mask, of course, and more green tea, because it's that kind of morning. So let's get a slab out. This is still really plastic clay, and it's a fairly thin slab. I want you all to make your slabs a little bit thicker than I've done here, but I'm gonna lay my sculpture on top of this, and I'm gonna start wrapping the clay around. I can dart areas to make sure that things go together real well. I can overlap the clay. I'm not too concerned about any of that either. Remember, this piece is going to be put on the paper and then removed from the paper. So I'm not too concerned about the outside right now. I'm gonna clean all that up. I'm not worried about the inside at all, because after the sculpture is done, you'll never see it. Not a bad start. Set that aside. Get my second slab out. And I'll do the same process the opposite way now. I am going to cut my negative space out right now so that I have that taken care of and I can find it again a little easier. I'm going to cut off some excess. I've been thinking about how I'm going to do the negative space in here. And I've got a technique that we use when we make our face mugs in level 1. I've showed this technique to a couple of guys when they were making legs on their pinch pot bowls. So I'll be showing you another technique on how to create a cylinder form for this project. Negative space, let's cut that out. Now I'm going to tighten everything up on here, press this into the clay, or press the clay into the paper, make sure it's tight on here. Miss a little spot right there, no worries. Come back in and slap a piece of clay in there. Now, as I'm sitting here blending this clay with my fingers, I want to talk about how you're going to treat the exterior of your piece. You're going to have the option on this to keep this piece as smooth as you possibly can, or texture it with a purpose. Texture it with a purpose. That doesn't mean you can be sloppy and messy and go, oh, that's what I intended, because I'm not going to believe you. You're either going to go smooth surface or you're going to do purposeful textures on your piece. Now, how are you going to create the textures? I'm creating a texture right now just with my fingers rubbing this and having that line flow. So I could keep those lines in there, or I could come in with some stamps and stamp stuff on there. A friend of mine, I should say more of an acquaintance, I've met him and been in a couple of shows with him. Brian Somerville does unbelievable sculptures that after he gets the surface done, he comes back and carves designs in the entire surface. Stunning. Brian Somerville, spelled Somerville. I've got a couple of his posters in the studio if you haven't seen them. The Beast, his big bulldog sculpture. Fantastic stuff. So again, we're doing a Henry Moore piece. We're stylizing after Henry Moore. But if you want to look at other artists and be inspired by what they've done, Brian Somerville would be an excellent choice to look at some of his textures that he's put on his carved forms. Now, his forms are usually animals. I've seen his squirrels, his monkeys. They are just outstanding stuff. And again, that big bulldog. I saw a big sculpture he did for Purdue University for their veterinarian clinic. He did, I think it was about a 3-foot tall dog that was, arm was up in a crutch, and then he carved all the Boilermaker images on it, the train. It was just outstanding. The hours he puts into that, I can't fathom the time and energy he puts into his pieces. It's inspiring to watch these young guys. He is younger than me, as most people are younger than me at this point in my age. Let's see how this is starting to come together. And again, I want to make sure it's a freestanding sculpture. So I'm going to continue to smooth this piece out and clean it up. Get it that way so you can see a little bit better. So that's what I'm going for. And once I get this firmed up, I get it smooth, I get it clean, I get it the way I want it. I need to let this get to about leather hard. And when it gets to leather hard, we'll go into video number 4. I'm not gonna bore you and make you watch me smooth my piece out. You saw how I was doing it, using the best tool in the world, your hand. So smooth your piece out. You can always add texture after the fact if you're going with a texture, but I want to get this smoothed out only for the fact that I need to make sure that I've got all those pieces of clay pushed together and I don't have air pockets laying in here somewhere. So I'm going to spend probably the next 10-15 minutes just cleaning up my lines, and I'm not going to make you watch that, all right? I know you're excited, you want to watch me work. You can do it in class, all right? Love you, mean it, see ya.